Now, today, October 1st, 2024, marks Nigeria's 64th Independence Day anniversary. And the country celebrates this milestone. Opinions are divided as to whether it's a time to celebrate or to have a sober reflection given the challenges facing the people. Notwithstanding, President Bola Tinubu has reignited hope as he says the military is winning the war against insecurity while the country is on the path to restoration. He's also assured Nigerians of his administration's commitment to a better Nigeria. We're now joined by leadership expert Godman Akinlabi to discuss Nigeria at 64 and the quest for hope amidst the disappointment and pain. Good afternoon. Great to have you on Newsday.
My pleasure to be here.
Great to have you. Of course, we know you wear numerous hats, but as a religious leader, how do you reconcile the message of hope when you pair that with the tangible suffering which many Nigerians are facing right now? What kind of guidance can you offer?
Well, I'll say that, like we all know, there are different kinds of hope. There's realistic hope, there's unrealistic hope, and the kind of hope that we have right now, I think we have to be able to move it from unrealistic to realistic hope. And realistic hope only happens when you are taking requisite steps that can lead you to the realization of the things that you hope for, and not just wishing. Wishful thinking doesn't lead anywhere. So what we have right now, I would put it in the middle of both realistic and unrealistic hope, because there are some steps, tangible steps, that we can say the current administration is taking to make the hope or the renewed hope agenda a realistic renewed hope agenda. But it's not getting there yet. And Nigerians are very resilient as a people. We are a very resilient people. The only thing is that Nigerians want to see that correlation, that connection between how we move from unrealistic hope to realistic hope. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. In 1998, for instance, the official exchange rate was like 22 naira to $1. Parallel market, 80-something. Yeah. Today, from there, that was when, about that time, I was already working as a full-time employee, and I know the effect of what my salary translated to when I went to the market, or if you attempted to travel out of the country and stuff like that. Now, how many years later? 26 years later, is now 1,700. When you draw that line, it looks like an unrealistic hope, because nothing has really, seriously changed that can give Nigerians that kind of expectation of realistic hope. So I'm saying that the steps that have been taken should be more, cogent steps that will actually make people feel like this is realistic hope. And then we see their hearts open more. Migration out of Nigeria will slow down when there's realistic hope. The reason why the Japa syndrome is becoming stronger by the day is that, when you look at the macroeconomic indices and the micro, they're not just working. And Nigerians are very smart, especially the younger generation. They see everything that's going on. They know how much it costs to hail an Uber drive last year and today, and how much petrol costs, how much this, how much that. All those things just have a way of just eroding the sense of hope and eventually affect your sense of loyalty to the nation.
Thank you so much for painting that picture. I know before the interview started, we were discussing a little bit about how you've been following today's broadcast since morning. And at some point, we crossed over to see some of the activity that was happening on the street with regards to the protests. Now, there's one protester who stuck out to me because when he was interviewed, he was saying that, so why did we even move away from British rule if this is what our independence looks like? Now, my question to you is a little bit tricky, but I hope we can navigate it together. What is it that we're failing to do that the oppressor was able to do? Because there was oppression, but it seemed that there was some sense of stability. Why is it that we are unable to, be liberated and have stability simultaneously? What needs to change?
So, thank you for that question. And there's an understanding that we all must have if we're going to join forces together, not to go back to the oppressor, but do something differently, so that so that our people don't always feel like it's time to go back to that the oppressor is better. That's what where I'm going. There's something that is called the burden of freedom, and we say that the burden of freedom is responsibility. Now, African nations around the world, the nations in the Commonwealth, at some point met the quote-unquote oppressor and said, we want freedom. We want to take our lives in our hands. But you see, in the olden days, in the practice of slavery, the slave doesn't have to think about what to eat because it's a commodity. The slave doesn't have to think about what to do. The slave does not use initiative. Nobody needs it. Just take instruction. Do what you are bought to do. Now, when you gain freedom, you have to take responsibility for yourself. What am I going to eat? What am I going to do today? What's my to-do list? Because I am now a free person and I need to take responsibility for myself. That's why we say the burden of freedom is responsibility. What has gone wrong since independence has been how we have taken or refused to take responsibility for freedom. And that is really causing problem for us as a nation. Because when you see the way our institutions have been managed, it shows something that we're not ready to take responsibility for freedom. The political institutions, the economic institutions, all the institutions that should ideally undergird development have been left to, to just waste away. I mean, look at how our educational institutions have been. My first degree I got here in this country in the public university, in the federal university, in the 90s. And that was in the 90s, and it was still great. Compare me to people who went to the same university in the 70s. They had a blast. Those were the days where you finish university and maybe you got a job, 2 weeks you have to resume. And the moment you resume that work, they give you a loan that can buy you a brand new car.
Okay. Now we have a minute thereabout. But you touched on the fact that Nigerians are resilient.
Yeah.
And that we're able to stomach a lot. But it seems as though this season we've seen the reward for endurance being more endurance. And would you say it's our resilience and the allowance of all these situations that should have been nipped in the bud that has brought us to where we are today?
Yes, I agree with you. To some extent, we say it's our resilience because resilience is not bad in itself. It is what it's producing in you. If you are resilient and you gain what I should choose to call inspirational dissatisfaction, that can, spur innovation, creativity. When we talk about a place like America, America was built by citizens and not politicians. Politicians play their part. But when you talk about people like John D. Rockefeller, Ford, the Ford Motor Company and all that, they built roads, they were entrepreneurs. What Nigerians want from government is just give us the enabling environment. Nigerians are resilient and creative. But you see, there's a place resilience will take you to. It will bring down your level of innovation and creativity when it's destructive resilience, when the indices are not just working. So I would say Nigerians should continue to be resilient, but let's meet, somewhere where the environment under which we are resilient is showing that something will give, something is going to get better, so that Nigerians who are very resilient and creative will not go abroad to unleash their creativity. They will unleash it here, because that's the only way this country can move to the next level.
Very well said. So resilience, but not to the point of Stockholm syndrome,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Pastor Godman Akinlabi, today has been fantastic. I really enjoyed the conversation. A lot of wisdom was dropped there. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day. Thank you.